We are only 3 or 4 days into 2019, and I think a lot of people in the food industry want me and you guys to forget about all the weird, sketchy things that happened this past year. But not so easy, because I actually collected all of the most disturbing, scary food conspiracy theories and news stories that happened this past year, and let me just tell you, you are not ready for this. This first story happened in Australia back in September, and this is so incredibly horrifying. An Australian family was shopping at this Australian supermarket, just everyday stuff. They're shopping at the fruit section, and just the same way we all do, they found what seemed to be a perfectly normal box of strawberries. So they bought the strawberries and they took them home. When they actually bite into the strawberries, they get stabbed by a needle. Somebody had went to the supermarket and cut little pieces of needles and placed all these tiny little fragments into every single strawberry in that box. This didn't only happen to this family. People started coming out and sharing similar stories. People are buying fruit and strawberries, and when they bite into it, there's needles on the inside. One person had to be rushed to the hospital because they actually swallowed the needle and they were experiencing severe abdominal pain. A 9-year-old boy was in school eating strawberries, and he actually managed to spit out the needle before swallowing it. As you can imagine, the panic starts spreading all over Australia, because it's not like this happened one time. According to a news website, I think they had over 180 cases of this. Criminologists were actually very confused about this whole thing, because this is not something they've seen very often. They said it's not an act of sadism. It's not someone who wants to see the pain of another person biting into the strawberry. There is a disconnect here. People are freaking out. The police doesn't exactly know what to do, so they go as far as offering $100,000 for someone to give any type of clue about what happened and who did it. And as you can imagine, fast forward to 2 months later, the police finally arrests a 50-year-old woman. The Australian police came forward and they said they found the DNA of this lady in the strawberries, in the needles. This woman who was arrested, I think she's being charged for at least 7 counts of food contamination, which in total it could lead up to 10 years in jail. In court, they said that she has embarked on a course over several months of putting a metal object into fruit. The case that is put is that it was motivated by spite or revenge. According to this other news website, it also said that the woman was seeking revenge on a farm that she used to work at. She basically wanted to cause some financial harm to this farm because I guess they didn't treat her right. And the crazy thing is that it actually worked, because the whole food industry in Australia went into crisis. There were so many newspaper headlines from back in September of people complaining about a food crisis in Australia. But in a way, it almost seems like this story had a happy ending, because the lady got arrested and obviously the industry will end up recovering from this. Now here's when things start to get really dark and the conspiracy comes in. I'm not joking. 3 days ago, in an Australian supermarket, they found needles inside grapes. Just when everybody thought they were safe, the attacks have ended, there's another one. A lot of people were confused, because if the lady, if she was truly the person responsible for putting the needles in the strawberries, why is there another attack? Obviously, it could be a copycat, which is someone trying to recreate the crimes of another person, but conspiracy theorists believe that the Australian police is actually clueless. That maybe they didn't really know who did it and they were just trying to stop the panic. Personally, this story really freaks me out, because just thinking of buying something and not being able to tell if there's a weapon on the inside, like, that's incredibly scary. I found it very interesting that a lot of the victims said that the reason why they managed to escape not being stabbed is because they looked at the strawberry and they saw that there was something wrong with it. For my safety, for you guys' safety, I would like to test this out. If there was truly something wrong with the strawberry that you bought, if you just looked at it, would we be able to tell that there's something wrong with it? This is kind of scary, but here we've got a box of strawberries. What I did was I asked my sister, I'm so scared of them. I asked my sister to hide some needles in half of them. 4 of them have been contaminated and the other 4 are just regular strawberries. So my job here is to try to find out essentially what the people in Australia had to do in order to not get stabbed or to eat the needle. This is very, very scary, and don't try this at home. This is really scary, and I know that there's something wrong with these strawberries because the people we talked about, they had no idea. I'm looking for a tiny little hole and I can't find any. So I'm gonna say that this one right here doesn't have a needle. I don't know why I'm still scared, but I think we got 1 out of 3. So this one didn't have a needle, so my job is to find 2 more. Oh, that's scary. You can barely see it, but there's like a needle right there. There is no way I'd ever be able to tell that there's something wrong with this strawberry. I've already failed, but let's try one more. I think this one is a safe one. I mean, this kind of freaks me out, but this is also me when I open up to people. This next story actually happened just a few days ago at the very end of 2018. This man from England, I think his name is Andrew, he went food shopping at one of the biggest supermarkets in the UK, which is Tesco. He was shopping at the canned food section, so he was basically buying food that comes in a tin. And according to the news articles, I think he bought this £1.50 beef curry. Everything seemed fine. He went home. He opened the can and I guess he microwaved it. He's ready to eat his food. He's actually eating his food, and halfway through he stops and he looks at the fork, and I'm gonna quote what he said. He said he found a cat's anus. This photo is so incredibly disturbing, and I'm so sorry that I'm gonna show it to you. So this guy Andrew, he also said that someone said it could be a blood vessel, but do they get that big? I picked it up on the fork and noticed the color was different. It was like grayish skin color. You could tell it wasn't beef. Well, it could be beef, but not meat beef. I couldn't eat for about 2 days after that. It's the first diet that's worked. It's funny, but also pretty disturbing stuff if it's real, so you might be wondering what the supermarket had to say about all of this. And according to the Daily Mail, and this is my absolute favorite part of this whole story, they replied to this poor guy, but in the reply, every time they talked about the meat, they kept on calling it thing. I mean, that's your own product. I mean, that's meat that you sell at your supermarket. Imagine the reaction of the guy when Tesco kept on calling it a thing. Fast forward to just a few days ago, Tesco actually came forward and they said they did some tests, and it turned out that it was just a blood vessel. Keeping it real, it is gross, but I guess the meat industry is kind of gross, so that's kind of what you get. But here's the conspiracy part of this story. A lot of people in the Facebook comments, they weren't shocked by this at all. And it sort of opened like this box of weird things that happened with this supermarket before. People started sharing comments with photos of headlines of weird things that happened at Tesco regarding meat products. I'm not making this up. At some point, people found traces of horse meat in some of the cheaper products at Tesco. So I guess I can kind of see why some people genuinely thought that that could have been a cat's anus. Who knows, honestly. So I think it'd be interesting for us to go into Tesco and buy a lot of their beef products, especially the cheaper ones, the stuff that comes in a can. And I think it would also be interesting to open these products on camera and see what they're actually made of. Something really strange happened when I was buying these cans of food, which is I was looking for the curry that the person found that weird piece of meat. And I went into 4 different Tesco shops and I couldn't find it anywhere. So I found that very suspicious. I mean, probably it was just sold out because it's very popular, but maybe they removed it after the whole situation with the meat. I don't know. We're going to start with some steak in gravy. So I've never actually tried this one. There you go. It actually doesn't smell too bad. I actually am looking forward to eating this. So Oh, I see. Yep. There's like veins in it, but like I guess that's normal. These are like really tiny like little veins. Yeah. Not as appetizing as I thought originally. This one's a beef casserole. This one looks fine. It's all like chopped up pieces of beef. This one is chili con carne. Even if there was something wrong with this one, it would be blended, so we wouldn't be able to tell. That smells and looks incredible. Oops. Not all of them can be bad. I mean, the first one is truly questionable. Like, these meat pieces just look really weird, like veiny. This one is minced beef with onion. It's not really something I would eat. And this next one is chili con carne again, which we've already seen that it looks delicious. Only this one I found a little questionable, but... This next story actually starts in 2016, but it sort of drags all the way up to now. And sadly, it also involves the death of multiple people, including a very young girl. So I'm gonna do my best at being respectful, and I'm gonna ask you guys to do exactly the same thing in the comment section. This is about one of the biggest food chains in the UK, which is called Pratt, and I think they also have some locations in the US, in New York at least. According to BBC News, in 2016, this 15-year-old girl, she went into a Pratt location at the airport. She's looking for something to eat, and she finds this baguette. I think it was an artichoke and olive baguette. This girl also had a severe sesame allergy. So when she looked at the sandwich, you know, sometimes when they put the seeds on top of the bread, I mean, there was none of it. So later on, I think the girl was in her flight and she ate the sandwich, and sadly she got an allergic reaction, and it was so incredibly intense that she ended up dying. The BBC website says that it's believed that the sesame seeds were baked into the bread rather than sitting on top, and that might have been the reason why she couldn't tell that there were some in it. On this same news story, the restaurant also confirmed that every single item didn't have the allergy information individually. Instead, what they do is they have many signs across the restaurant that said that if you have any food allergies, that you should consult with someone working there just to make sure that you can eat it or not. They said, "We take food allergies and how allergen information is provided to our customers extremely seriously. We will continue to do all we can to assist." I live in the UK and I've been to Pratt many times, and because it's like an organic food place, I don't think they have a lot of labels on any product at all. If you thought this story was heavy, then this is about to get much worse, because fast forward to January of 2018, another customer went to Pratt and they bought a veg rainbow flatbread, which was supposed to be dairy-free. Turns out this person was extremely allergic to dairy, so they ate the flatbread and turns out there was dairy in it, and it also resulted in their death. According to BBC News, it was a little bit different this time around because the product was actually supposed to be dairy-free. I mean, the customer must have asked, they must have read, and he probably knew that the product was meant to be dairy-free. Pratt, the restaurant, they came forward and they said that the yogurt that they used in the flatbread was actually supplied by Koyo, which is a brand of coconut milk in the UK. A spokesperson for Pratt also came forward and they said that they did some testing on the yogurt that was supposed to be dairy-free provided by this brand, and they found out that there were some traces of milk protein in it. They also officially announced that they will no longer be working with this brand. As you can imagine, this dairy-free milk brand actually came forward and they posted this statement on their Twitter account saying that all Koyo manufacturing facilities are solely dairy-free and do not produce any dairy products, which makes our allergen control even more robust. Obviously, this is very serious stuff and it's also very recent, so I don't think anything has been settled yet. I mean, I did the research, but I think both companies are still battling it and just legally debating what actually happened. I guess what really scares me about this story is how serious food allergies are and how seriously life-threatening they can be. I read a lot of comments in many news articles, and some conspiracy theorists believe that when companies get really big and they start making a lot of money, that sometimes that becomes the main motivation behind everything they do, which makes them a little bit more likely to just close their eyes to like a red flag. Some people believe that that could have led to a tragedy like this. This is obviously very heavy stuff, and it's also very serious, so all I'm gonna say is please pay attention to like your health, your food allergies when you go eat somewhere. If any of you guys have got food allergies, do read things very, very well. I'm also interested to see if Pratt, the restaurant, if there's been any changes with the way they handle food, the way they provide the allergy information. There's a Pratt restaurant just outside my house, so I think I'm gonna go there and I'm gonna have a look at the products. I'm gonna bring some of the stuff and I'm gonna show you what the allergy information is like and if anything has changed this past year. As you can see, I did go into Pratt and it was kind of morbid. I think because this story is like one of the heaviest ones, I just felt very, very weird picking these food items. But I do have to say, and I took photos with my phone, obviously I'm not saying that this wasn't there before, but there were so many signs about food allergies. Like literally there were probably like a total of like 12 signs all across multiple places in the restaurant. So I got some photos of like all the different signs on my phone, so I'm gonna show them to you, and I think we should just have a look at some of the items and see in which ways are they labeled. So this one, for example, is like a salad. So as you can see, there's a sticker on here. The sticker tells you to go to pratt.co.uk for allergy information. So here we've got a sandwich, which I think is like one of the most popular items, one of the most common purchases. And as you can see, like it doesn't have any information, but if you're trying to open it, you'd have to open it from the back. And on the back, there's this giant sticker that says, if you're interested in the allergy information, that once again you should go to the website. It does make me think that so many bad things happen that why would they just not put the actual information on here? I mean, maybe it isn't necessary, but if you're gonna print all these stickers, then couldn't you print the actual information for this product? Like it literally says artichoke and mozzarella, so this is clearly specifically made for this item. I mean, it's kind of weird, or is it just me? It shouldn't be that difficult to look up the allergy information and individually put it in every single product. Like this one, once again, for allergy information, visit pratt.co.uk. I mean, yes, technically they do let you know, like even this bread says that you should check the allergy information, but wouldn't it be so much easier to just put the actual ingredients in here? Like, I just don't fully understand this. I know this was a little bit heavier, a little bit darker than usual. Hopefully you liked it, and if you did, please don't forget to give this video a like. It always lets me know that you enjoy this, and it helps me sort of realize if you want to watch another episode of this or maybe not. If you haven't subscribed to my YouTube channel yet, all you have to do is press the subscribe button, and there's also a little bell next to it. So if you tap that bell every time I put up a new video, if you enjoy this, for example, you'll receive a notification when I post a new episode. So thank you to those of you who've got my notifications on. I can't wait to read the comments on this one because I spill a lot of tea in my videos, but you guys spill even more in the comment section. So I love you, and I will see you very, very soon. Bye bye.